Hey everybody! Today I wanted to do a screencast on the jQuery form plugin. In my job, I work a lot with WordPress, and so I like to take advantage of all that WordPress has to offer. And one of those things is the jQuery form plugin. And so since I deal a lot with forms, like whether I'm registering users or creating contact forms or whatever, I like to speed up that process, and this is something that I reach for quite a bit. Here's the site right here. It's mouseup.com, and you can read the URL. I'll include a link to it in the description. But here you can find, the API documentation, all the options that you can pass to it, along with some examples. The purpose of this video is just to kind of show you a quick example of how it works, and hopefully you can get something out of it. So first things first, we're going to want to enqueue the plugin itself. If you go to the WordPress code reference and find WP enqueue script, down at the bottom of the page, you'll actually see a lot of libraries that you can enqueue on your site. So right here, right underneath jQuery itself, we're finding jQuery form, which is the one that we're going to be working with. And to enqueue it, you just go over to your functions.php file and add a new action called WP enqueue scripts is the action that we're going to be tying into. And then let's just call this enqueue jQuery form. You can name that whatever you like. So we're going to create a new function called enqueue jQuery form. That has to be the same as what we wrote above. And then we are going to write WP enqueue script, telling WordPress that we have a new one that we want to enqueue. And we paste in what we just copied over from the codex. So normally when you're enqueuing scripts, if it's something that you've loaded externally or something that you've written custom, you usually have to write, you pass a couple more arguments into this function, like the path and whether or not it needs to be the footer, the version, etc. But since this is already shipped with WordPress, all we have to do is say that we want to enqueue this particular script, and it just knows the rest. So let's save that really quick. Let's go back to the site. Let's refresh the page. Let's open up the source. So if we do a quick search for jQuery.form, yeah, and there it is. So that's telling us that the form is enqueued and it's ready to be used. So our function worked. So let's go back over here and go into our template. You'll see that I've created a quick application form. And in this scenario, we're just wanting to gather the person's first name, last name, gender, favorite food, and just an avatar or something like that. So let me explain a couple of things really quick that are important to this plugin. I personally like to give my forms an ID, just makes it easier for me. And you have to put this attribute in here too, because in the front end we are going to be grabbing a file. And if you don't have this particular attribute with the value of multipart/form-data, it won't grab it. So make sure that that's in there. That's really important. Next up is the method. We're telling it that we're wanting to post the data, not get the data or anything like that. And then we're giving it an action, and we're telling it to go to the admin URL and grab admin-ajax.php. So that's one thing that I really like about this jQuery form plugin, is that you can set up a lot of the options right here in the form itself. So that just makes it really easy. I like having that in there. Next up, you'll kind of see just the form fields that I was talking about. Let's just go ahead and correct that spelling error. But we have a couple text fields and a radio button and a select box. But you'll see that each one has its own name, and you'll see this come into play here in a little bit as I send off my first example. But what it will do is it'll assign the value of what the user types in to a key of this. So I know that's a little bit confusing right now, but you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. Then we got our avatar down here and our submit button. One thing that we are missing though is we need to add an extra hidden field with the name of action and a value of create applicant or something like that. So what we're telling the jQuery form plugin is we are going to be submitting all of the data that the user has input and send it to a WordPress action called create applicant. So this is super important, and so you're going to need to have a value, a hidden input that has the name specifically of action, and then the value of the action that you're going to be sending the data to. So we're going to go ahead and save that. And right now our form's not going to do anything because, I mean, we've set up the form, we've enqueued the script, but we actually have to bind the form to that jQuery form. So what we can do, what we're going to do is we're going to first target our applicant form. Come on here. Where'd my pound key go? Applicant form. We're going to bind it to the AJAX form. And I mean, technically that's really all that you need to get this working, but I'm going to pass in a couple of arguments here just so we can see what kind of response we're getting. So we have a success callback that we're going to target right here. So when the form is successful, we're going to see what it gives us back. So we have the response that we're going to be getting, and let's just console log that response that it sends us. That way we can see what it actually got. So I believe that's everything we're going to need on the front end. If it blows up, we'll dig into it. But so we go to the back end. So like we said up here, we're sending this off to admin-ajax.php, and it's going to be looking for the create applicant action. So we need to go over to our functions.php and add a new action. And every time that you create a new action, AJAX action in WordPress, you need to prefix it with wp_ajax_, and then the name of the action. So we named this create applicant. So we copy that and paste it here. So when the form posts, it's going to know to look for this. And then so once we do post that form, we're going to give it a function to execute. And it's pretty good practice to make sure that those two are the same. That's just my personal preference, but it doesn't have to be. You can name this anything that you would like. So I'm going to create a new function called create applicant, and then I'm going to do a WP send JSON success with the data that we just posted. So that way, when we post the form data, it'll get sent here, and it's going to send it back to us in JSON format, which we're then going to pick up in this response, and then we're going to console log that response. So let's go back over to the site and give it a whirl and see what we come up with. So I'm going to refresh the page. First name, Alex, last name, Young. I am male. My favorite food is chicken wings. We're not going to do an avatar quite yet. I'm going to show you that in a minute. We hit submit. We shouldn't see anything happen, but if we go over to my console, then we see the response of success. So if we open this up, we don't have an avatar, but my favorite food is indeed chicken wings, and my first name is Alex, gender male, last name Young. So I think that's really cool that, I mean, we didn't have to write a whole lot of code to get that to happen. And I think that is pretty powerful. I think that it's worth noting that there are a couple of more options here that we can pass in. There's also the error option, so we can also get a response out of that, kind of handle that appropriately. But for now, we're just going to console.log it. You can also have the form reset after a success, which I think is also pretty handy. But I think the thing that sets this plugin apart, because realistically, doing this manually just with plain old jQuery is not difficult. But in this case, since we are uploading an image, this becomes kind of where I feel like it saves a lot of time. It has another method called upload progress, and it gets a couple of things. It gets the event, it gets the position, gets the total, and it also gets the % complete. So it passes in a couple things, but I think the most valuable piece of information that it sends you is this % complete. So if you're uploading like larger images or something like that, you can use this % complete to display like a progress bar or something like that, just so you can inform the user that this it's taking some time to upload their file. So did I spell that right? Yeah, I did. Okay. So let's do another example really quick of uploading a file. Let's go back over here. Let's refresh the page. Let's type in my name again. Mail. This time it's beef jerky because I'm in that mood. And let's upload a screenshot. So let's hit submit. The form was reset like we had passed. And then let's come back here. So, I mean, that was pretty quick. So it just gave us 100%, but you can still see that it gave us the rest of what we were looking for. You'll see that the file is not in here. So let's change that really quick. So WP send JSON success. Let's give that an array to return. Say that the post is equal to _post. And that files is equal to files. Let's do that again, and this time let's make sure we get that file in there. Okay. So, okay, we get the success is true. Let's take a look at the data. So we have our files as our avatar. Gives us all that information back. And then we also have our post object as well. So I think that's really cool. Let's take a look at another example really quick. Let's just to show you. Actually, yeah, let's go back here. Let's clear this out so we don't get confused. And then let's just upload something bigger. This won't upload, but just as an example, you can see how the progress works. So we hit submit, and we go back here, and I know that was kind of quick, but you can see that it's giving us the % complete right here. So that you can kind of imagine in your mind how the progress bar is going to work in that case. So anyway, I think I'm going to end the video right there. This has just been a quick tutorial about how to use the jQuery form plugin. Again, I'll put a link to it in the description. Again, I hope you found it interesting. I hope that this is something that can help speed up your workflow. If you have any questions or comments or anything like that, leave them in the comment section below, or tweet me at _Alex Young, and I'll be happy to give you a response to the best of my ability. But until next time, thank you and have a good one.